Like not having a history of adultery, not having a history of immorality, mocking Mike Pence for praying in the White House.
So you believe that anyone that has wrongfully cheated on their wife should be disqualified from leadership, public office, all that stuff, yes? So your standards are higher than God's when King David became king over Israel, just so we're clear.
When they haven't shown the proper remorse for those actions.
Okay, well, you don't know what remorse he has shown or has not shown. But secondly, I'm not going to get into like the deep thicket here of defending Donald Trump's personal life, because we're in a binary right now. And the binary is very simple. Instead of moralizing against a man who's facing 700 years in federal prison for trying to put the American citizen first, I think we as Christians should get on our hands and knees and thank God that we have a fighter that is willing to actually go to DC and fight for us against that very regime.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. My name is Elario, and today I'm back with a video I'll check out with you guys. This is called Charlie Kirk Shuts Down Anti-Trumper. You know how it goes, guys. We talk less and we react more. Let's check this out.
Hi, Charlie. So my question is, you support Christian values, as do I. How do you support a man who, in many ways, is the antithesis of those values in Donald Trump?
I thought you were going to say Joe Biden.
What? Well, if it's a... You've supported Trump in the primaries, too.
Yeah.
So there was other options at that point.
Well, yeah, so you're asking why do I support a sinner?
Why do you support someone who...
Because you're obviously not a sinner, right?
No, I'm a sinner, but his whole life and his values are all the antithesis of what the Ten Commandments are and things like that.
Okay, so I'm not even sure what to make of that. Let's just look at his presidency. I mean, was he not an excellent president? Do you disagree?
Well, I believe that character matters in our leaders.
I do too. So actually, here's my #1 mark of character for a politician. Did you do what you say you were going to do? And Donald Trump did what he said he was going to do.
I'm sorry, do we have a wall across the whole southern border right now?
Well, we built a couple hundred miles of border wall.
But he said he was going to build a full wall.
Right, there were limitations for that. He shut down the government for 60 days over that.
Hold
on a second.
Wait, who is you?
I'm sorry?
You said you shut down the government. Who is you?
Donald Trump shut down the government for 60 days to try to get $4 billion in border wall funding. He put Schumer and Pelosi in his office. He did everything at his disposal while he was facing 2 impeachments and 1 ridiculous special counsel investigation. Southern border crossings went down to a 30-year low under Donald Trump. We had asylum seekers that were rejected back to their country of origin. You can nitpick certain things from the right to say, oh, I could have, would have, and should have. But let's go through the promises. Number 1, Donald Trump gave us and fulfilled the promise 3 excellent Supreme Court justices so that we had the reversal of Roe versus Wade. Hold on. As a Christian, will you give him credit for that?
I give him credit, but are you saying any other Republican president would have done the same thing?
George W. Bush gave us a liberal Supreme Court justice.
John Roberts?
John Roberts voted against us on critical issue after critical.
Besides Obamacare?
Roe versus Wade.
He was against us on Roe v. Wade?
It was a 5-4 decision, not a, I believe. I could be incorrect.
I thought it was 6-3, but I may be wrong.
You might be right on that. I don't want to speak out of turn. However, he voted against on many of the other issues recently. By the way, Roberts is very liberal. Okay. So, secondly, George H.W. Bush gave us Kennedy, Anthony Kennedy. It might have been Reagan. Either Reagan or Bush gave us Kennedy.
They wouldn't have been elected in 2016 if you had Ted Cruz, if you had Marco Rubio. They would have given us 3 people that match Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Coney Barrett.
Bush gave us liberal tilt justices. And that's number 1. But let me just ask a question. George W. Bush, did he ever speak at the March for Life?
I'm not aware of that.
No, he didn't, because he was a pro-abortion Republican because his wife was pro-abortion.
Trump can't even sort out his own take on abortion now.
Well, hold on a sec. You keep on changing the script here. You came here as a question is, how can I as a Christian support a sinner? We all agree we're all sinners.
As opposed to other candidates who probably have better character in the primaries, like Ron DeSantis.
What do you mean by character exactly?
Like not having a history of adultery, not having a history of immorality, mocking Mike Pence for praying in the White House.
So you believe that anyone that has wrongfully cheated on their wife should be disqualified from leadership, public office, all that stuff, yes? So your standards are higher than God's when King David became king over Israel, just so we're clear.
When they haven't shown the proper remorse for those actions.
Okay, well, you don't know what remorse he has shown or has not shown. But secondly, I'm not going to get into like the deep thicket here of defending Donald Trump's personal life, because we're in a binary right now. And the binary is very simple. Instead of moralizing against a man who's facing 700 years in federal prison for trying to put the American citizen first, I think we as Christians should get on our hands and knees and thank God that we have a fighter that is willing to actually go to DC and fight for us against that very regime. And so hold on a second. You say, how can I as a Christian? I look at Samson, I look at David, I look at sinners throughout the Bible that were used for God's purposes. Do you recognize that?
Yeah, but are you saying that sinners are better than people who have less sins? Because if you looked at someone, just for example, like Ron DeSantis, who has, in my opinion, a much better character than Donald Trump, are you saying that he wouldn't have gone to D.C. and fought for the values that you're saying Trump would fight for?
So I didn't support DeSantis. I like DeSantis. But let's talk about character. By all objective measurements, George W. Bush had better character than Trump. Loyally married, never accused of adultery, Christian. He gave us the Iraq War. He gave us the Afghan War.
You could point to one person.
Hold on, no, hold on. I'm talking about the only other Republican president of the 21st century, not one other person. Want me to point to his father, H.W. Bush?
What about Reagan?
Reagan is not as good of a president as Donald Trump. Reagan gave us no-fault divorce, mass amnesty. Reagan also expanded the national security state. Reagan was a fine president, but nowhere near as ineffective of Donald Trump president. So that's the question ahead of us, which is, if you only look at character, which is your version of character, I don't share that version of character. It's, does the politician do what he says he's going to do? And he did what he said he was going to do.
Well, not
he
really,
did that in abundant terms.
Well, he did some of the things he said he would do.
Let's get to another one. Blessed are the peacemakers. You and I as Christians both believe that, right? How many new wars were started under Donald Trump?
But zero were started under Jimmy Carter also. I mean, that's not really
hold on, we're talking, yeah, you're right. And zero were started under, like, I don't know, William Buchanan or something. I don't know. Like, you can go way back into the presidential register here. I'm not advocating for Jimmy Carter's presidency from hospice, okay? It's a very simple question, which is, in the modern era, from Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden, those are 5 presidents, okay? Only one of those 5 did not start a new international, reckless, adventurous war in any theater, and that guy is named Donald Trump.
Sure.
That for me is like a decision. Sure. It's like a massive, massive issue, especially when you look at the carnage and the funding. I mean, you don't want war. You're a Christian.
No, I'm not saying everything Trump did was bad.
Fair enough. Okay, but so let me ask you a question. I mean this sincerely. Is there anything he can do to win you over?
I mean, I'll probably end up voting for him just because I don't like the other side. But I would have much rather preferred someone else from the primaries.
Fair enough. I think you're coming after this from a fair perspective. But I would challenge you not to just throw around.
I like RFK, though. I might vote for him.
Okay, well, then you're going to vote for a pro-abortion, pro-choice guy who would put radical left-wingers on the Supreme Court that would never win. But it's fine. You live in Washington, so your vote doesn't matter that much anyway. But it's true. I mean, it's unfortunately a super left-wing state. And just so we're clear, RFK is also an adulterer. I don't know if you've looked into that. So if your criteria is kind of falling apart. So,
Charlie.
I will just emphasize this, which is, as a Christian, it is tempting to try to impart our disciplined moral walk on every single politician that runs for office. I totally get that. Instead, I take a step back and I say, who has actually done the things to fulfill the policy agenda that I think glorifies God? And that is Donald Trump. It's not even close.
Like not having a history of adultery, not having a history of immorality, mocking Mike Pence for praying in the White House.
So you believe that anyone that has wrongfully cheated on their wife should be disqualified from leadership, public office, all that stuff, yes? So your standards are higher than God's when King David became king over Israel, just so we're clear.
When they haven't shown the proper remorse for those actions.
Okay, well, you don't know what remorse he has shown or has not shown. But secondly, I'm not going to get into like the deep thicket here of defending Donald Trump's personal life, because we're in a binary right now. And the binary is very simple. Instead of moralizing against a man who's facing 700 years in federal prison for trying to put the American citizen first, I think we as Christians should get on our hands and knees and thank God that we have a fighter that is willing to actually go to D.C. and fight for us against that very regime. So hold on a second. You say, how can I as a Christian? I look at Samson, I look at David, I look at sinners throughout the Bible that were used for God's purposes. Do you recognize that?
This video was educative in more ways than one. Okay, this guy's question was baffling. It said, how can Charlie Kirk as a Christian support a man that has not shown any... That was the way he constructed it. I love the way Charlie answered him. I actually love the way Charlie vies and will I even say fight for the Trump administration? There's really a lot and too little to say on that. But the thing is, what right did this guy have to come down and criticize two people on, will I say, a baseless past? People change, you know. People change. And I love the way Charlie asked him a question to answer that. Said, are your standards higher than God's own when he used David in the Bible? Most of us know the story of David and Bathsheba. David was God's beloved. And he saw Bathsheba, he liked her. He sent her husband off to battle, had him killed, and then married Bathsheba. Everyone who knows the story knows that David was punished, but he was forgiven when he showed remorse, and he was elevated even more. Now, every human being errs. Everyone does something that they might horribly regret at a particular point in their life, you know? And for this guy to walk up here and say Donald Trump doesn't show remorse, I mean, he has no right to say that of any human being because he does not know for a fact that he didn't or did show remorse for his actions. He doesn't know for a fact if he's sorry for them. He literally doesn't stay in the same room. Not even the same room. He doesn't come even 5 feet close to the man. He doesn't know him on a personal level. And neither does Charlie. You know? And that was why Charlie said, I'm not going to shift into the personal aspect of Trump's life, but I'm going to ask myself this question. Did he do everything he said he was going to do in his government? According to Charlie, the answer is a yes. Definitely, he might not have been able to accomplish most of them or some of them, because every government should have its restrictions. You know, there must be some people who are going to be at your neck all the time. There might be some things you might not be able to get at a particular point in time, and before you know it, you're out of office. But according to Charlie, he did most of what he said he was going to do. And he says, he asks himself another question. Which leader actually goes in line with what he feels God wants? Like in the aspect of peace. Among the 5 recent presidents, according to what he mentioned, or the names he mentioned, you can see that, according to him, only Donald Trump didn't start a new war, which he actually deserves credit for. And then there was a question that actually got me, like, I was wondering, like, what's this student thinking? He said, why would you pick a sinner over some people who don't really have much sins? How do you know they don't really have much sins? Are you in their closet? You don't know what they do in their quiet time. You don't know what they do in their personal life. And that was why Charlie asked, what can Trump do to win him over? And he said he might probably vote for Trump because he does not like the other part. But then he might also vote for RFK. And Charlie was like, okay, RFK is a pro-abortion activist. And he also has a history in adultery. So I don't know if this meets up to your standard. Look, based on the question he even asked, that doesn't even count. Because what I see here is a judgmental youth with misplaced fact. He's judgy. How would you know? Why would you judge someone based on things they have done? You know, when they're really, really much younger. That doesn't count. And the minute he asked the question, the way Charlie said, okay, you mean Joe Biden? And he said, no, Donald Trump. And I was like, ooh. The way the crowd echoed, you could see that even they were not in support. Well, I do know Donald Trump is a pro-Christian. I do know his reign in America was peaceful internationally. I mean, within, there were a lot of wars he had to face, according to Charlie. You know, he said he's at risk of facing 700 years in prison. That's typically life imprisonment. But then he's still fighting for the American dream. You know, he said he was going to build the southern border. He didn't finish it, but he started, according to Charlie, he started it measurably. Like, he went a long way on that. And he made attempts to try to finish it before he was ejected from office. I really don't know the full story with Donald Trump, but if what Charlie says is true, if the facts is given are actually fact, then let's give the man his flowers. I believe you guys learned a lot from this video. Please leave your comments in the comment section and leave a thumbs up at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe.